Good morning and welcome. My name is Rusty Gaillard, and I am substituting today for Reverend John Riley, who is the Senior Minister of the Spiritual Center here at Unity Palo Alto. And I would like to welcome you to our Unity Palo Alto online service. We look forward to getting back in person together soon, but for now we are still virtual, and we are glad that you decided to tune in today. If you are new to Unity, we want you to know that Unity is part of a worldwide, inclusive spiritual movement, welcoming people from all walks of life. People who are seeking a greater experience of spirit in their lives, a greater expression of health, harmony, and abundance, and we're looking for purpose and spiritual growth. We teach positive, practical spiritual principles that you can apply in your life every day to do life better. This morning, we are blessed to have Casey as our platform leader and Deborah as our soloist with Russell Norman on piano. And we thank you both for sharing your light with our spiritual community. And now we begin our service with our opening song. Deborah, take it away.
God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Love is my source, love is my power, love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, love gives me everything I need. Yes, love is my source, love is my power, love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
Good morning. I'm Casey Wicker, and it's so good to be here with you today. Welcome to Unity Palo Alto's online service. We are part of a worldwide movement of prayer, publishing, and education, teaching positive, practical spiritual principles that we can apply every day to open us to the abundance and peace of life. Unity is a spiritual movement. We are welcoming and inclusive, and wherever you are on your spiritual path, you are welcome here. We have 5 core principles that guide us on our path. Our first principle, God is. There is only one power active in the universe and in our lives, God the good omnipotent. Our second principle, God is a substance and intelligence innate in every person and in all creation. And the third principle, thoughts and mind produce after their kind. We have the ability to affect our world. The fourth principle is the practice of prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation connects us and grounds us in that creative, constructive power of God to move and work in and through us. And the fifth principle is the practical application. For as we live according to these truths daily, we become what we're created to be, the living expression of the image of God, which Unity calls the Christ. These 5 core principles guide us in living our vision statement, and I invite you to affirm our vision statement with me. Together, centered in God, we co-create a world that works for all. And so it is.
Spirit of the living God, move afresh in me. Spirit of the living God, move afresh in me. Melt me, mold me, fill me, use me. Spirit of the living God, move afresh in me. Spirit of the living God, move afresh in me.
Today's daily word is pray for others. And I'll read our affirmation and invite you to affirm it with me. I know the truth of each dear one I hold in prayer. Together, I know the truth of each dear one I hold in prayer. What an honor it is to hold others in prayer. I am grateful for the sacred trust and use it to see beyond appearances, knowing they are temporary conditions. I focus on the unchangeable truth that each one for whom I pray is a divine being, a living expression of God. As I pray for others, I envision divine peace and calming thoughts and strengthening faith. I see healing leading to realization of wholeness. I pray divine love and wisdom create harmony in relationships, guiding every decision. And I affirm divine order is established in every area of life. I claim for them the zeal to complete everything that needs to be done. I then give thanks, grateful for others with the gift of prayer. From Matthew 18, verse 19, again, truly I tell you, if two of you agree on earth about anything you ask, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven.
The sun'll come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow clears away the cobwebs and the sorrow till there's none. And when I'm stuck in a day that's gray and lonely, I enter in and know with a glow that the sun'll come out tomorrow. So you gotta hang on till tomorrow, come what may. Tomorrow, I love you. Tomorrow, you're only a day all those days watching from the window, comes. All those years outside looking in, all that time never even knowing just how blind I've been. Now I'm here, blinking in the starlight. Now I'm here, and suddenly I see that standing here, it's oh so clear I'm where I'm meant to be. And at last I see the light, and it's like the fog has lifted. And at last I see the light, and it's like the sky is new, and it's warm and real and bright, and the world has somehow shifted. All at once, everything looks different now that I have you. All at once, everything seems different now that I know you.
When I was a little baby, I used to wake up in the morning singing in my crib, even after a nap. I was so happy. I would just wake up, smile, and sing and laugh. My dad, I think, had a belief about that kind of unbridled joy. And his belief was that it meant I wasn't very smart. He thought I would grow up to be a ditch digger, but I would be the happiest ditch digger in the whole state. Turns out I actually did well in school. As I got into the swing of things and started moving forward, I became pretty consistently an A student. But what happens to an A student as they progress along the chain? A students get more and more focused on the results, on staying out in front, on continuing to be that A student. And by the time you get into high school and college and maybe even your first job, what do A students really want? A students want that sense of unbridled joy and freedom. They kind of want what the D students have, what the ditch diggers have. They want that sense of joy and laughter. One of the reasons that comes up is because A students follow a very traditional path, which is being at the head of the class. Work hard now because that will pay off later in the future. Don't rock the boat, follow the traditional path, work hard, keep up. If you live in Silicon Valley, that may sound familiar to you because it's really part of the ethos that's in Silicon Valley. It's what a lot of people think. It's how a lot of people approach life and their work. But it's not what the real innovators in Silicon Valley did. Think about the people who founded Google, Apple, Tesla, Facebook. These people were innovators. They did not follow the very traditional path. They were creative. And they created tremendous impact in these companies. Most of these companies are 30 years old or less. Amazon was started about 30 years ago. Google came on the scene 25 or 30 years ago. Tesla is only about 20 years old. Think about the impact these companies have had on the world in a very short amount of time. Then ask yourself this: what kind of impact do you want to have in your life? You don't have to want to create a big company. You don't have to be thinking in that terms. But what for you would make a good life? What kind of impact do you want to have when you look back at the end of your life and say, that was time well spent? What will you feel proud of? The answers to those questions come from creativity. Just like the innovators in tech in Silicon Valley are creative, for you to answer that question effectively, you also have to be creative. If you've heard me talk before here at Unity, you know I love to talk about the core principles of Unity. Today, I'm going to talk about the third of those, which is the law of mind action. Thoughts in mind produce after their kind. What you think makes a difference. I'm going to share with you 3 tools today to help you think and live more creatively so that you can tap into your inner sense of creativity. I want to start by giving you a simple definition of creativity. And the first tool is this. It's your definition of creativity and to help you own the truth that you are creative. When I talk about creativity, I'm not talking about art. I'm not talking about your ability to paint or draw or sing. Most of us think that's what creativity is, but it's not. Creativity is your ability to create. It's your ability to solve problems, to conceive of an idea and achieve it, to overcome the obstacles that stand in your way. That is creativity. And by the way, you are abundantly creative. Most of us tend to limit ourselves or have a limited view of ourselves based on our past experience. We look back in the past and say, well, I failed at this and I wasn't successful at this thing and I didn't achieve this goal that I set out for myself. It's so easy to focus on all the things that we didn't do and why, as a result, we're not as resourced as we really are. But you live in a creative world. Look at the natural world around you. It is always creating. Plants, flowers, trees, they're always growing. Animals, insects, always growing. There is a whole cycle of life which is about creation. And even at the end of life, those things decompose and become the seeds for future creation. It's this cycle of continuous growth and expansion. And as we know from the first and second principles of Unity, that cycle of possibility, that force for growth and expansion, whether you call it God, love, creativity, life, the universe, infinite intelligence, whatever word you put on it, that force for growth and expansion is everywhere and it's in you. You have the ability every single day that you wake up to do something new and different. You're not constrained by what's happened in the past. You're creative. You can create a brand new experience. And part of what you can create is an experience of how you handle yourself. But most importantly, you need to believe that you are creative. You need to believe that you are creative because you are an expression of life, and life is creative. So how could you not be? Number 1 principle, you are creative. The number 2 principle I want to share with you is what I call the belief cycle, which is that your beliefs ultimately determine all of the results in your life, which reinforce your beliefs. There's more steps than that, though. Your beliefs cause your thoughts and your feelings. Your thoughts and your feelings cause your actions. Your actions deliver results, and your results reinforce your beliefs. Think about, for example, going in to meet with your boss. And what if you believe your boss doesn't like you, or your boss is a jerk? How about that? Your boss is a jerk who doesn't like you. If you believe that, what are you going to be thinking and feeling when you go in to meet with the boss? You're going to be feeling nervous, anxious about the meeting. You might be thinking you have to have all your bases covered. You got to be on your best game. You may be thinking to only share the information that's totally relevant so nothing bad comes out and you don't get, misinterpreted in some way. Well, if you're thinking all those things, that's going to create a dynamic that you bring in to that interaction. And your boss is going to respond to that dynamic. He's going to think you're hiding something. Maybe he thinks you're not totally honest. And now all of a sudden, you might have results that reinforce your belief that your boss is a jerk and doesn't like you. The other way this belief cycle comes into play is how you handle disappointments. Do you handle disappointments from a sense of belief in your creativity, knowing that a disappointment or a failure or an obstacle is really just not a problem? It's just another thing that stands between you and where you're going. But you're creative and you can achieve it. Or do you handle those things as stop signs, as a wrong way, turn around, go back? Because both ways are pretty understandable. I worked with 2 A students recently. This is in the last year. And both of these A students, we'll call them Sam and Tom. Sam and Tom both were very successful. They did well in college. They had good jobs. They did well in their jobs. They were progressing along, but both of them had this sense that they were on the wrong track. They had followed that typical routine that I described earlier, that an A player follows. Work hard, put in your effort now, it'll pay off later. Don't rock the boat, keep going. But they were questioning, why am I doing this? Is this really the direction I want to be going? Both of them decided to take a turn and go in a different direction, to get off the path that they had been on. And both of them ran into obstacles. Sam ran into obstacles with family. His family told him, I don't think this is such a good idea. Are you sure you want to do this? Maybe there's a way you can keep doing what you're doing and dabble in this other interest on the side. Tom ran into obstacles because he was going back to school. He applied to multiple programs that he was interested in and did not get into any of them. Now, what did each of these people do in this obstacle? Sam said, you know what? I don't know exactly if this is going to go the way I expect it to go. But whatever happens, I'll be able to handle it. Sam stayed anchored in the belief of his creativity, and he decided to move forward. Tom, on the other hand, ran into this obstacle and he wavered. He said, oh gosh, I didn't get into any of these programs, so maybe this isn't really the right direction. It's probably more responsible to stay on the tried and true path and keep going. It's easy to pass judgment on Sam or Tom for their decision. But put yourself in that situation for a moment and ask yourself, what would you do? How connected are you to your belief of creativity? How much do you believe in the kinds of things that Sam told himself? I don't know what's going to happen, but whatever happens, I can handle it. I'm resourceful. I'm creative. I live in an abundant world. It will all work out. Or are you more likely to backtrack and say, I'm going to stick with the tried and true, with that sense of what I know and what's safe? These are examples of the belief cycle. Pay attention, because what you believe will translate into your results and reinforce that belief. Now, we're talking here about creativity. And part of creativity is knowing what direction to go in. In order to do that, you have to connect with what I call the zone of possibility. You have a blank sheet of paper in front of you. Every day, in fact, when you wake up, you've got a blank sheet of paper. You have a brand new day. Sure, you may have an outline of some of the things that need to get done on that day that you've already planned for that day. But the truth is, you've got 24 hours ahead of you that you can create and mold and shape however you want to. But if you want to get a good answer to how do you want to really shape those things, you need to step into the zone of possibility. And there's 3 components to that. But first, I want to share a little story about Tom. Because Tom found this sense of possibility to go off and apply to these new programs, these new school programs, by entering the zone of possibility. He had been trying to figure out for some time what he wanted to do with his career, because he knew the path that he'd been on wasn't fulfilling for him. And he asked himself, if not this, then what? But he couldn't figure out an answer. Well, the answer came to Tom when we were on the phone one day when he was in a park. He had walked out of work and walked over to a park, and it was a beautiful spring day. The trees were just kind of sprouting out their leaves. Some of the flowers were out. blue sky, warm. It was gorgeous. And as we were talking, I was asking Tom to think about a time in his life where he had felt successful, where he felt happy with what he was doing, where he just felt aligned and it felt like life was flowing along easily. So here he was outside in this beautiful setting, recalling a time in his life where he felt aligned. And from that place, he started to get some ideas about what kind of characteristics he would like in his work. And as we flushed out the characteristics, he started to get some ideas about actual work environments, jobs, positions that would meet those characteristics. So the three ingredients of the zone of possibility all showed up in this experience that Tom had. The first is a place of quiet. There is so much coming at us. We fill up our agenda with so many things. We're always busy. And you need a place of quiet in order to connect with sense of possibility and creativity. The second ingredient is heart. You'll notice that Tom was inspired by the natural beauty, but also the recollection of his past experience of being in a very fulfilled and happy place in his life. That is a way of connecting with your heart, because the answers, creativity is not a mental activity. The answers to your questions are not something you're going to think your way to. These are exercises and experiences of the heart. And the third ingredient of the zone of possibility is courage. Because what you hear from your heart may be unexpected. It takes courage even to listen to those ideas. It would be so easy for Tom or me or anyone else or you to just throw out those ideas as crazy when they come to you. I could never do that. That's not for me. It's too risky. What if I fail? Just to reject them out of hand. It takes courage to listen to those ideas. So the zone of possibility is this intersection of a place of quiet, listening to your heart, and having the courage to hear what it says. So these 3 points that I shared with you today, your inherent sense of creativity, the belief cycle, and the zone of possibility. Those are 3 ways that you can employ to live from a place of your inherent creativity, to create the kind of results and the experience of life that you want to have. I'll share one more brief story with you, and this is about Jim, who I met last year. And when I met Jim, he was towards the end of his career, but he wanted to do something meaningful in those last working years. And he wanted to set himself up for the life after work so that he was energized and happy about what was to come, not just looking to escape the routine of work. During the course of our work together, Jim connected with his sense of creativity. He had to find that zone of possibility. But when he did, some very interesting things came to him. Number one, is one of the first decisions he made was to buy a house in Florida. He had been thinking about it for years. He always wanted to do it. He knew it was part of his plan, but he kept putting it off. But when he connected with that sense of possibility, that sense of creativity, that belief in him that he can handle whatever comes at him, he found the courage to say yes and move forward. The second thing that Jim did was to connect with a new career for himself. He had started multiple companies during his life, and in fact, one of them was still running, but it wasn't something he had his heart in. He decided to shut down that company, even though it was still running and was successful, so that he could devote more energy to what he really wanted to do. And for him, the way to do that was to keep working in his day job and start his other business in parallel. There were many other results that came from Jim's experience of living creatively, deepening and richening his relationship with his wife, deepening his relationship with his son and with other coworkers that he'd worked with, as he started to share some of his creativity with these other people. The creativity about going for what he wanted in life. And that's what I most love about this story about Jim, is he was able to create a life that he felt great about? There's no one answer to that. It's all a question of what you feel great about and knowing that you can create it because you are creative. You have the ability to craft and shape your experience of life by being creative in the zone of genius, by anchoring in that belief of your creativity, and by following and recognizing the power of the belief cycle. You can create anything. You live in an abundant and creative world. You are an abundant and creative person. And when you live from that, the possibilities are limitless. Let's take that sense of limitless possibility into our time of prayer and meditation. I invite you to start this time of prayer and meditation with a nice, deep, cleansing breath. You can breathe in through your nose and just release with a nice sigh. And take another deep cleansing breath, letting go of any thoughts and concerns of the outside world. And close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so, to turn inward and connect with your sense of deep possibility. Recognize that you are floating in a river of creativity, that you are surrounded in everything by this force, this life energy that is abundantly creative, and that you too are abundantly creative. And rest in that sense of creativity, knowing that you are supported in it, like floating in a nice, warm, comfortable river. It's effortless. It comes naturally through and to you. And as you take that next nice, deep cleansing breath, relax into that place of creativity. Sink further into letting go, allowing yourself to be supported by the creative world that you're in, by your own innate creativity that holds you up, that guides you forward. And sit and rest in that place of creativity in a moment of stillness and of silence. As you rest and embrace that sense of creativity that flows in and through you and around you and is everywhere present in your life, take a nice, deep cleansing breath and offer your thanks, connecting with a sense of gratitude and expansion of your heart for your ability to craft and create and shape a meaningful life in a way that is unique and personal to you. And in celebration of that wonderful gift of life, let us sing the Alleluia.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Let us now move into a time of affirmative prayer. As we hold in our hearts all of our own prayer requests and those from our prayer chest. I invite you, if there's someone in particular who you hold in prayer, to say their name out loud or to bring their name to mind. Let us also hold all of the people who've been affected by COVID-19 over the last 18 months, as well as those affected by the collapse of the condominium in Surfside, and all of the caregivers and first responders who are the first to come to our aid and the aid of those who are in any kind of trouble. Let us hold them in our hearts and offer our affirmative prayers for their health and well-being. We affirm divine love is doing its perfect work in each situation, revealing the spiritual magnificence in each person and establishing spiritual wholeness now. We hold our world, national, state, and local leaders in the same prayer, seeing them making wise and loving decisions for peace on earth, goodwill, equality, and justice for all. We affirm divine love is doing its perfect work now. And so it is. Amen. Now we step into the spiritual practice of living in the flow of abundance. Unity Palo Alto is a self-sustaining spiritual center, helping people all over the world do life better through spiritual living. If you are inspired and uplifted by our service today, we invite you to make a donation. And you can like, follow, subscribe, and share our posts on your favorite social media channel. The affirmation that we say is on the screen, and I invite you to read it and affirm it with me. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I am.
We are a welcoming and vibrant community with many virtual opportunities for spiritual growth, sacred service, and celebrating our community. Today, right after service, we will hold our monthly prayer service. You are invited to come and rest in the words of silent unity as we infuse our prayers with love and blessings. It is the same Zoom link as Spiritual Coffee Talk. This is a sacred experience as we raise one heart, one voice in prayer, affirming the light within. For information on classes and opportunities at Unity Palo Alto, you can go to unitypaloalto.org and check out our social media channels. There are so many ways to connect with us and share the good news that is Unity Palo Alto. Now let's take a moment to greet each other. If you are watching us from YouTube or Facebook, I invite you to hop over to the chat screen and say hi to one another, or you can simply cover your hand on your heart and just send out some love and light to everyone online. If you're tuning in for the first time or back from a long absence, we'd love to hear from you. We invite you to fill out our online connection card, which can be found on our website at unitypaloalto.org/live. Each month, Unity Palo Alto shares a portion of our donations with a safety net organization serving the San Francisco Bay Area. This month, we are sharing our abundance with Heart Fit for Life. And here's a little video to introduce you to a Heart Fit for Life.
Greetings, everyone at Unity Church. Thank you so much for this opportunity to tell you a little bit about Heart Fit for Life and how your generous donation is going to make such a difference for us. I'm Robin Waddell, and I'm the nurse director of Heart Fit for Life in Palo Alto. It is the go-to cardiac rehab and wellness program. We've been serving the community since 1970, and we're actually one of the first community-based programs in the nation. And if you think about it, eating healthy, exercising regularly, managing stress, being engaged, and feeling supported is really the cornerstone to really good health. And so Heart Fit for Life can really make a difference in all those areas. It's a medically supervised exercise program with comprehensive education and a lot of support to help you get back on track if you've had a cardiac issue, or if you're at risk for a cardiac issue, it can make a difference in helping you make those lifestyle changes. So if when we talk to physicians about it, they always say that we're the eyes and ears for their patients. We catch problems before they become bigger issues. We empower the individual, and oftentimes we're reducing the rate of rehospitalization. But as with anything this year, with COVID, I think a lot of programs and people have suffered in many ways, and our program is not excluded from that. It put a significant financial strain on our program. Still, we pivoted. We switched over to a virtual program, and we were able to get through the year. And now I think we're going to be stronger for it. I think that we've got our in-person classes going on again, and then we'll continue to offer the program virtually. So we'll be able to reach a greater audience. There are people that have barriers for transportation, or they just might not be able to get over to an in-person program. So I think it's very exciting for our program going forward to offer this hybrid approach. Part of our mission statement is to make sure that we provide this program to everyone, despite their financial ability to afford it, even though we try to keep our monthly fee as low as possible. So we typically will see or help 15 to 20 people per year. And typically we get 5 to 10 new people per year who need a scholarship. And so your scholarship, your grant will actually help 2 to 3 people attend our program. So it makes a difference. Thank you so much for your generous support. And thank you, Sue Skulina, for recommending us to Unity Church. And lastly, if you wanted to know more about the program, join us. We're going to have an open house on Zoom on July 20th at 5 p.m. And more detail will be on the open house on our website, which is at heartfitforlife.org. So thank you again, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
We are proud to support Heart Fit for Life, and we would like to bless them by saying, Heart Fit for Life, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the beneficial presence of love that you are.
This little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, well, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. Yes, everywhere we go, oh, we're gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Yes, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, oh, shine.
And we close our service now with a prayer for protection. Please join me in reading this together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Love and blessings. Have a wonderful week.